alongside an executive bill sent by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to the Nigerian Senate, requesting an amendment to the Finance Act 2023 via the Finance Bill 2024. Now, the bill sets to impose a one-time tax called Windfall Tax of 50% on the realized foreign exchange profits derived by banks in the 2023 financial year. That's the tax, as proposed by the President, would help fund capital infrastructure development, access to education and healthcare, and other public welfare initiatives. Again, the proposed windfall tax is a response to a significant profit made by banks from foreign exchange transactions, mainly from excessive currency devaluation or fluctuation. Mr. Adebusuyi Adedokun is the manager, Commercial Practice Group at Analysing, Nigeria. He joins me to make real sense of this development. Good afternoon and thank you. It's good to have you on the program.
Good afternoon, Tolu. Thank you for having me.
Yes, we understand that this the bill is set to impose a one-time tax on windfall of 50% on the realized foreign exchange profit derived by banks. People have been talking about this. I think the first thing we need to do is help us to understand what this means. What's the overview of this windfall tax? Tell us what we need to know about it.
Thank you very much, Tolu. Like you said, there was a letter and a bill sent to the Senate on the 17th of July, 2024. And the purpose of that letter, of that bill, was to amend the 2023 Finance Act through this Amendment Bill 2024, specifically Section 30 to 33. And the purpose of that is to impose windfall tax on the profit derived by banks from foreign exchange transaction. Like we all know, windfall taxes are one-off taxes imposed on a specific sector of the economy when they make extraordinary income. What the government is trying to do in this case is to devise an ingenious means in which they can generate income, most especially at a period when the government is currently financing its budget with deficits, and there is declining oil revenue.
So that is the reason why. So now that when government needs money, government has to look at ways to generate revenue or to improve revenue. But what is the expected impact of this on financial institutions operating in the country?
Okay, thank you very much. I know you made mention of 50% the other time. The bill was eventually reviewed by the Senate, and it was increased from 50% to 70%. And so what this bill, or what this tax would do if it is assented by the President, is to impose a one-off 70% tax on the transactions, foreign exchange profit from foreign exchange transactions. And invariably what that would do is to increase the cost of tax administration of these banks, because they will be subjected to a new mode of tax when this is recorded. And what that will mean is that the tax will take into consideration the profit that has been derived by the banks from period commencing from June 2023 to 31st of December 2025 rather.
There's a possibility that there may be challenges here in implementing this. And can we talk about the legal and regulatory framework space? How do you see them accommodating all of this?
Yeah, I think one thing that is clear to everyone is the retrospective application of the tax, when it is eventually assented to. What it would do is that it tends to tax banks based on what they have derived, or the profit they generated from period commencing from, like I said, from June 2023 to 31st of December 2025. And then if you look at it, most persons have looked at this as being punitive, most especially because it goes, some will say it goes against the principle of taxation in Nigeria, which is certainty and predictability. And then most especially when the Federal High Court in the judgment between Akugas and Federal Inland Revenue Service in 2022 already stated that law should not apply retrospectively. So this is going to be the issue per se.
Because the last time I had a chat with the chairman of the FRS, just a bit away from this, he was talking about the service being very certain of generating the 19.4 trillion naira I think they're targeting. But if you do an overview of all the efforts of the FRS in this time, you are a professional in that space. How would you assess their move aimed at achieving all of this? Is this one of the ways they're going to be getting that?
Yeah. I suppose this is going to be one of the way. Like you said, they have a budget of almost 19 trillion this year, and they seek to generate that through tax administration. So this also offers a means in which FRS can generate more funds or more revenue.
But the issue of expanding the net, what about that? Just take us through again before we move on. Because some say, we're already paying. What can be done to bring in the informal guys into that space? I know you have a comment on that.
Okay, thank you very much, Tolu. If you look at this, I mentioned the fact that this seems like an ingenious mode, because what windfall taxes seek to do is that it's tax what you have earned but you have not worked for. Most especially when there is a disproportionate extraordinary income coming from an external factor. In this case, the principle was changed in 2023, and then there was the mode was changed in 2023, and that resulted into banks generating extra income, and because of that, the government seeks to tax this income. What you will look at, what is important to notice that some people have said that this income has only been earned and has not been worked for by the bank, because it has been generated by some external factors, and that is what the government is looking at, to say that instead of imposing another tax on the people that have been previously taxing, let me look at some ingenious way of making money from here. And it's important to note that this has been done in many jurisdictions, and it has been successful. And sometimes it also have a record of it failing.
Let's now look at the global perspective now of this. It seems like this is novel to just Nigeria. In the likes of UK and the United States, they've instituted the windfall tax or something around that before now.
Yes, like I said, from my last sentence, right? This has also been implemented in different jurisdictions, most especially when there are grounds of equity or unfairness, right? There are grounds of equity and fairness, specifically when the government finds out that some sector of the economy benefit disproportionately from external factors. For example, in 2022, the United Kingdom imposed a windfall tax on activities of the North Sea oil and gas. And what that seems to do is that it imposed an extra tax on earnings derived by by oil and gas companies from this transaction, from energy bills, from high cost of energy. And what that means is that the government used that in the UK to finance households that were facing at that point in time, they were facing energy cost crisis. And also, it was also implemented, has also been implemented in several EU countries, most especially in Italy and in Spain. And the purpose of that is just to ensure that two things: generate funds for the government and redistribute income. So it has been used in various jurisdictions.
So because I'm thinking now that government and relevant stakeholders also need to come around the table, talk around this and, dot the I's, cross the T's and all of that. Do you think that there have been enough of conversation around this to make everyone understand that this is supposed to be a win-win for all?
Well, I think if there is anything, I would say that government will need to do that more. to ensure that, all stakeholders understand this, and then ensure that, ambiguities are resolved, most especially when it comes to the rates. Up to now, I haven't seen the highest I have seen in any jurisdiction is 60%, and at this point in time, government is introducing a 70% tax. One of that which is the windfall tax. Yeah. So government will have to look at this rate and then ensure that it liaises with different stakeholders in order to resolve these ambiguities, and most especially, and also the ambiguity of retrospective application of the bill, if eventually accepted to by the president.
But do you think that this affects the financial sector's confidence in any way?
Yeah, in a lot of ways. That currently they are facing the period of recapitalization. Most especially when when the CBN has set up to 31st of December 2025 for them to be recapitalized based on their different sectors. So it will affect them in one way or the other, and it's because of the uncertainty and the unpredictability of the tax system. If this is imposed, it might also want to affect foreign direct investment in that sector.
But that reminds me, before I let you go, we still have a committee, of course, have submitted proposals, I think, submissions to government too. That's the Taiwo Edele committee that's also trying to harmonize tax and all of that. That is also on another side, right?
Yes, that's also on another side. There was this regulation, withholding tax regulation, that was released by the presidential committee just few weeks ago. And that's still there. It's still await presidential assent and then approval.
So what is your final thought or your final take on this very matter?
The final take will, to ensure that this is successful, well, like I said, it's an ingenious means, but to ensure that it is successful, government must ensure that it's parley with different stakeholders in order to ensure that all ambiguities are resolved.
That's very important. It must be resolved so that all can understand the focus and what is intended, what government intends to achieve. Mr. Adebusuyi Adedokun is the manager of Commercial Practice Group. He is with Anderson, Nigeria. Thank you so much for joining the program.
Thank you very much, Tolu. Have a nice evening.
You too.